Have you ever wondered if the life you're living right now is only a fraction of what truly exists? Imagine walking through a vast library at night, shelves stretching endlessly in every direction. Each book contains an entire version of your life. One where you chose differently, loved differently, became someone you never thought possible. Yet here you are, holding just a single book, convinced it's the only story written about you. What if the biggest illusion of all is believing that this one script is all there is? For centuries, hidden teachings whispered of a reality far greater than the one our five senses show us. Mystics compared it to waking from a dream inside another dream, where walls you thought were solid suddenly dissolve into doorways. Modern seekers describe moments when time bends, when coincidences arrive with impossible precision, as if a higher dimension briefly let its veil slip. Could it be that what you call destiny is nothing more than the frame you've chosen to focus on, while infinite others remain unseen? Think of the last time you felt trapped in routine. The same alarm clock, the same arguments, the same bills piling up. It's like walking on a treadmill, moving but never arriving. Beneath that monotony lies a quiet hunger, a whisper inside you that says, there must be more than this. That whisper is not your imagination. It's the signal of something larger trying to break through. In this video, we will explore a method that reveals how to step off the treadmill and into the higher dimension where all versions of your life already exist. It is not about blind faith, but about learning to see the mirror behind the mirror, the mechanism hidden in plain sight that has been shaping your reality all along. But before we uncover how to access it, we need to confront the invisible trap that keeps billions from even realizing there is a choice at all. A trap so subtle, most never escape it. And that is where our journey must begin. There are moments in life when the ordinary suddenly feels charged with something more, something almost impossible to explain. You're walking down the street, lost in thought, when your eyes fall on a clock glowing 11:11. You shake your head, dismiss it as coincidence, until it happens again the next day and then again the week after that. Numbers begin to follow you, showing up on receipts, license plates, phone calls. They whisper to you from places you weren't even paying attention to. It's as if reality itself is trying to speak in a secret code only you can decipher. Or maybe it comes at night, when you close your eyes and surrender to sleep. At first, the dream feels ordinary, a face, a place, a scene. But then it repeats, and again, the same dream painting itself across your mind, carrying details so vivid that you wake up unsettled, wondering why you can't escape it. It's as though the dream is less a creation of your imagination and more like a letter being delivered from somewhere beyond, begging you to pay attention. Have you ever felt the air shift before something important happened? A sudden uneasiness, as if your body already knew what your mind had not yet discovered. Perhaps you hesitated to take a trip, only to later hear about an accident on the very road you would have taken. Or you met someone for the first time, and without knowing why, felt as if you had known them forever. These are not accidents. They are fragments of a hidden map, guiding you toward truths that cannot be measured by logic alone. Sometimes the signals show themselves in your very body, a sudden shiver down your spine in an empty room, a heaviness in your chest when you enter a place where something once happened, a ringing in your ears when no sound exists. Science calls them glitches of the nervous system, but deep down, don't you feel they are more than that? That your body is a finely tuned antenna picking up on frequencies your conscious mind has been taught to ignore? And then there are the so-called coincidences that happen with surgical precision. You think of someone you haven't spoken to in years, and that very day their name flashes on your phone. You've been silently struggling with a decision, and suddenly a stranger says something in passing that answers your unspoken question. It feels like the universe is weaving a thread through your days, stitching meaning into the fabric of chance. But here lies the mystery. Why do some people notice these signals while others walk through life blind to them? Why do certain individuals see repeating patterns, experience prophetic dreams, or feel invisible currents guiding their choices, while others dismiss it all as imagination? Could it be that these signals are not random, but invitations? Invitations to step beyond the surface of life into a deeper, higher dimension where nothing is coincidence and everything is communication. The pain is real, living in a world that teaches us to ignore what our soul already knows. We're told to silence our intuition, to trust only what can be measured and explained. Yet, how many times has ignoring that inner nudge led to regret? How many times have you looked back and said, "I knew something was off, I just didn't listen"? That ache, that frustration, is the sign of a deeper truth pushing against the walls of your ordinary life. Every whisper, every dream, every repeating number is not just noise. It is the secret language of a reality trying to wake you up. The question is, will you keep treating them as coincidences, or will you dare to consider that they are the keys to something far greater than what your senses show you? And if these signs are not accidents, then what exactly are they pointing toward? There is a secret woven into the fabric of human history, whispered by prophets, mystics, and sages, yet consistently dismissed by the modern mind. The first great sign that reveals itself to seekers is the language of numbers, not as cold symbols of mathematics, but as living codes of communication between dimensions. Among these, one has echoed louder and clearer than the rest, the pattern of 1111. For many, it starts innocently. You glance at a clock and there it is, 1111. You shrug it off. But then it happens again and again until it begins to feel deliberate. Some report waking up at the same time every night, unable to explain why. Others see the number on receipts, documents, even dreams. Skeptics call it coincidence. But coincidence loses its meaning when it repeats with such precision. What if 1111 is not random at all, but a call from beyond the veil? Ancient traditions hinted at this secret long before digital clocks ever existed. In Hebrew mysticism, the number 1 represents divine unity, the absolute oneness from which all things flow. To see one mirrored 4 times is to witness the call of creation multiplied, a reminder that the infinite is knocking at the door of the finite. Early Christian mystics saw similar patterns in Scripture. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. 1 and 1, repeated, doubled, mirrored, are symbols of both origin and return. In numerology, 11 is known as a master number, a portal of awakening. When doubled, 1111, it becomes a gateway. Think of it as standing between 2 pillars in a sacred temple. One pillar represents the world you've known, ruled by your senses, by cause and effect, by limitation. The other represents the higher reality, the unseen but ever-present field where every possibility already exists. To see 1111 is to be positioned exactly in the center of those pillars, being invited to cross over. But why does this matter to your life here and now? Because numbers are not passive. They are vibrations, frequencies woven into the fabric of reality. When you see a repeating number, it is as if your consciousness has aligned, even for a brief moment, with a higher pattern. The universe is reflecting back to you. You are not just reacting to life, you are being called to direct it. Consider this. Throughout the Bible, numbers were never just quantities, they were messages. The flood lasted 40 days and 40 nights. Not because 40 was random, but because in Hebrew thought, 40 signified transformation, trial, and rebirth. Jesus fasted for 40 days in the desert before stepping into his mission. The Israelites wandered 40 years before entering the Promised Land. Numbers marked thresholds, passages, moments when heaven and earth intersected. So what does it mean when you, in the quiet monotony of your day, Encounter 1111. It means you are standing at a threshold, a moment when the ordinary cracks open to reveal the extraordinary. Mystics say this is the moment when the higher dimension leans close, inviting you to remember who you really are. It is less a sign of fate and more a summons, a reminder that your reality is not fixed, that you are not trapped in the story that seems to define you. Many who have paid attention to these signs report profound shifts. A woman once told me she began seeing 1111 during a time of deep despair. Her marriage was collapsing, her finances were failing, and she felt powerless. But each night she would glance at the clock and see those digits almost glowing. At first it frightened her, but soon she began to treat it as reassurance, as if something greater was telling her, "You are not alone. This is not the end. There is a door." Within months, opportunities she could never have orchestrated appeared. She found herself stronger, more resilient, and most importantly, guided. The hidden teaching here is that reality speaks in mirrors. Just as a mirror shows you your own face, these mirrored numbers show you the face of your consciousness. They reveal that you are in alignment with a deeper truth, that time is not a straight line, but a vast field, and you are beginning to awaken to it. 1111 is like the chime of a bell in a monastery. It doesn't force you to pray, but it invites you to pause, to shift, to remember. But here's what few dare to say. When you ignore these signs, life continues, but it continues in default mode. You keep walking the same loops, repeating the same struggles, never realizing that the universe had already opened the gate for you. That is why ancient schools of wisdom were hidden, because once you see the pattern, you cannot go back to pretending you are blind. Responsibility comes with revelation. So what do you do when you see these signs? You stop. You breathe. You let the moment sink in as more than coincidence, and you ask yourself, what is this moment trying to awaken in me? That question alone can change everything, because it shifts you from passenger to conscious creator. And now, as you hear this, something inside of you already knows. These signs were never random. They are the fingerprints of a reality calling you home. If this knowledge resonates with you, I invite you to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Not out of habit, but to step into a circle, a community of seekers who recognize that we are decoding a hidden language together. By joining, you're not just pressing a button, you are aligning yourself with others who have chosen to see. But this is only the first revelation, because if numbers are the language of awakening, what happens when reality itself begins to mirror not just numbers, but the very assumptions you hold in your heart? Her name was Claire, and for most of her life she believed she was invisible. She was the kind of woman who blended into the crowd, quiet at work, unnoticed at family gatherings, polite but distant with strangers. Her days were a blur of alarm clocks, traffic lights, and endless bills. There was no magic in her life, no sense of purpose beyond surviving the routine. And yet, beneath the surface, Claire carried a longing she could never put into words. She would sometimes stare out of her apartment window at night, watching the city lights flicker and whisper, "There must be more than this." The first sign came on a grey November morning. Claire was late for work, rushing out of her apartment with her coffee still steaming in her hand. She pressed the elevator button, her mind spiraling with worry about deadlines, until her eyes fell on the digital screen above the doors, 1111. She almost laughed at herself. She had heard friends talk about angel numbers before, but she had always dismissed them. Yet something about that moment felt different. It was as if the cold, fluorescent-lit hallway suddenly thickened with meaning, as though the universe itself had paused to look her in the eye. That night, it happened again. She tossed and turned in bed, finally glancing at her phone to check the time. 11:11. Her chest tightened, not from fear, but from a strange sense of being watched, not in a sinister way, but as if unseen eyes were gently observing her, waiting for her to notice. And then the dreams began. In the dream, she was walking through a vast corridor lined with mirrors. Each mirror reflected not just her present self, but countless versions of her. Claire as a child clutching a teddy bear, Claire as an older woman with silver hair and wise eyes, Claire laughing, crying, traveling, loving. At the end of the corridor stood a door glowing with golden light. Every time she reached for the handle, she would wake up, her heart pounding and her hands trembling as if she had truly touched something beyond this world. Weeks went by, and the signs multiplied. The number 11 followed her everywhere, on receipts, phone calls, even a ticket stub from the train. Once, in a bookstore, she picked up a second-hand journal out of curiosity. She opened it at random, and the very first page read in neat handwriting, "The signs are not coincidences, they are invitations." Her hands shook so violently that the book nearly fell from her grasp. What changed was not immediate. She still went to work, still paid bills, still rode the crowded train. But inside, something cracked open. She began to notice details she had ignored for years. The way sunlight painted fire across her kitchen wall each morning. The way strangers sometimes smiled at her as if they knew a secret. She no longer dismissed her intuition as imagination. When she felt a nudge not to take a certain street, she listened. When she felt drawn to sit quietly in the park, she obeyed. And each time, something small but extraordinary unfolded. One evening, Claire was walking home when she heard the faint sound of a violin. She followed the melody through winding streets until she reached a corner where a young man was playing, his case open for coins. She stood transfixed, tears streaming down her face, not because the song was familiar, but because it felt like it was being played for her alone. When she checked the time, her phone once again glowed. 11:11. That was the night she stopped resisting. For the first time, Claire whispered into the darkness, "If these signs are real, then guide me. Show me who I am meant to be." It wasn't dramatic or loud. It was a quiet surrender, the kind of prayer that cracks the sky. From that day forward, Claire began to see herself differently. She enrolled in classes she had always feared she wasn't good enough for. She reconnected with friends she had drifted from. And most importantly, she started writing again, pages and pages pouring out of her like water from a broken dam. Her words carried a new weight, a new truth, as if they were not entirely her own but whispered into her by something greater. Looking back, Claire realized it had never been about the numbers themselves. The signs were simply a doorway, a mirror placed in front of her to remind her of what she had forgotten, that she was not a powerless passenger in life, but a co-creator with the divine. What had once felt like coincidence now felt like choreography. The universe had been speaking all along. She had only needed the courage to listen. And maybe that's why you are here, hearing this story now. Because you too have felt those nudges. You have dreamed dreams too vivid to ignore. You have seen numbers that made your heart race. You have felt that uncanny pull in your chest that whispers, "Pay attention." So I want to ask you something. Have you ever experienced a sign like Claire's? A dream, a number, a strange coincidence that felt like a message meant only for you? Share it in the comments below. I read them carefully, and in future videos, I may even mention your story, because your voice, your experience could be the key that helps someone else recognize their own sign. But the question still lingers like a heartbeat in the dark. If the universe can reach us with numbers and dreams, what happens when it begins to reflect the very beliefs we carry deep inside, shaping reality itself before our eyes? The second great sign that we must uncover is one that hides in plain sight, yet it is far more intimate than numbers on a clock or symbols repeating around you. It is the whisper of synchronicity, those moments when reality bends to align perfectly with your inner world. Unlike the first sign, which appears as a mirrored code like 1111, synchronicity is a living dialogue. It is life itself answering your unspoken questions. Carl Jung, the great psychologist, called synchronicity meaningful coincidences. But for mystics and spiritual seekers, it is much more. It is proof that what you hold within is inseparable from what unfolds without. When the invisible and visible realms intertwine, the universe does not just whisper, it speaks directly. Imagine this. You've been struggling with a decision, whether to leave a job, start a relationship, or take a leap of faith into something new. Your mind circles endlessly, but no answer comes. Then, out of nowhere, a stranger in line at the grocery store mentions a story that directly mirrors your situation. Or you open a book at random, and the very page you land on carries a phrase that feels like it was written only for you. These are not accidents. These are signs that your inner dialogue has spilled into the outer stage of reality. For some, synchronicity arrives with striking force. A man once told me he prayed desperately for guidance, unsure if he should move to another country. The next morning, while walking to work, a piece of paper blew across his path. He picked it up, and on it, written in bold letters, was the name of the exact city he had been considering. Skeptics would dismiss it as coincidence, but to him, it was the clear answer he needed. He moved, and that choice opened doors to opportunities that transformed his life. The hidden teaching here is this: synchronicity is not random. It is the mirror of your assumptions, your emotional state, your unspoken prayers. When you are aligned internally, reality responds with precision. But when you are scattered or unclear, life reflects that chaos back to you. So how can you recognize synchronicity more clearly? The key is awareness. Most people rush through their days so fast they miss the conversation entirely. They chalk everything up to randomness. To truly see the signs, you must cultivate stillness, an inner pause that allows you to notice when the universe places a message in your path. Here is a simple technique you can apply starting today. Set your intention. Each morning, before you step into the noise of the day, take 1 minute to state a clear question in your heart. It can be as simple as, "What should I focus on today?" Or as deep as, "Is this relationship aligned with my soul?" Do not force the answer. Just set the question like planting a seed. Stay attentive. As the day unfolds, pay attention to what seems to stand out. It could be a song lyric, a repeated word, a phrase in a conversation, or even a sudden change in your body's feeling when someone speaks. These are the threads the universe uses to answer. Connect the dots. At night, reflect back. Did anything unusual echo your question? Did patterns repeat? Write it down. Synchronicity thrives in recognition. The more you honor it, the clearer and stronger it becomes. This practice is not about forcing magic, but about opening your eyes to a dialogue already happening. Life has always been speaking. Your role is simply to listen. And here's the most important part. Synchronicity is not only about guidance, it is about alignment. When you notice the universe answering you, it is a sign that you are no longer living as a passenger. You are entering into partnership with the higher dimension of reality. Every synchronicity is a reminder you are not alone. You are being guided. Now imagine this. If numbers are the first language and synchronicities are the second, what happens when the universe decides to speak to you not through symbols or coincidences, but through the very structure of your own being, through a signal so deep, so personal, that almost no one dares to talk about it? That hidden sign is waiting, and once you discover it, you will never see yourself the same way again. There comes a moment in every seeker's journey when the external signs, numbers on a clock, dreams that repeat, coincidences that align, are no longer enough. They serve as breadcrumbs leading us forward, But the ultimate revelation is not written in the sky. It is etched into the deepest chambers of your own being. The third and most profound sign is not out there, it is you. The greatest mystery, hidden in plain sight, is that your very state of consciousness is the signal, not the symbols, not the patterns, not the synchronicities themselves, but the way your inner state vibrates and shapes reality. Every thought, every feeling, every assumption you carry is already a message being broadcast into the universe. And the universe, like a perfect mirror, reflects it back with absolute precision. Ancient mystics knew this long before modern science gave it language. The Gospel of John whispers, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." The Word is not sound, but vibration, the living essence of thought clothed in consciousness. In esoteric Christianity, this meant that creation itself began with a state of being, a vibration that called all matter into existence. Quantum physics now echoes this truth, telling us that observation collapses possibility into reality, that consciousness is not a passenger in the universe, but the very architect of what unfolds. This is the secret prophets hinted at, the secret philosophers wrapped in riddles. The real sign is not what appears to you, but what emerges from you. When you feel abandoned, the world arranges itself to confirm your loneliness. When you carry fear, life mirrors back situations to justify it. But when you embody peace, when you assume love, when you choose abundance in the secret place of your heart, then reality bends, reshaping itself to harmonize with your state. And here is where the revelation becomes overwhelming. You have never been at the mercy of fate. You have been standing at the center of a divine feedback loop where your consciousness is both the question and the answer, the seed and the harvest, the prayer and the fulfillment. Every moment is a dialogue between your inner state and the infinite field of possibility. But why is this the climax? Because once you understand this, everything changes. You stop searching for signs as if they were external validations, and you begin to realize that the most powerful sign is the one you are radiating in this very second. The trembling of your heart, the weight of your thoughts, the atmosphere of your feelings, these are not private. They are the blueprint of your unfolding reality. Pause here. Let that truth sink in. If your consciousness is the true sign, then the practice is not about chasing numbers or coincidences. It is about mastering your state of being. This is the highest form of spiritual responsibility, and also the highest freedom. And because you have arrived at this revelation with me, let me speak to you from the heart. This work, these words, this circle of seekers, it is not done for profit or gain. It is passion. It is devotion. If you feel the truth resonating inside you, then take a moment now to subscribe to this channel and like this video. Not as a casual click, but as an act of alignment, as a way of saying, I choose to step into this community of awakening. Each subscription, each like, strengthens a chain of consciousness that is building something far greater than algorithms. It is building a family of souls who refuse to remain asleep. Now, return with me to the mystery. The prophets spoke of a day when the veil would be lifted, when humanity would no longer see through a glass darkly, but face to face. That veil is nothing but the illusion that your consciousness is separate from creation. The lifting of it is the moment you recognize yourself as both creature and creator, reflection and source. Think about the strange moments in your life when you felt déjà vu, or when your very thoughts seemed to summon reality in uncanny ways. Think of the times you spoke about a person and they appeared, or the nights you prayed and the answer came in a form you couldn't deny. These are not anomalies. They are glimpses into the truth that has always been operating beneath your awareness. You are not reacting to reality. You are selecting it, and here lies the paradox. The deepest sign is not outside you, yet it takes the external reflections, numbers, synchronicities, coincidences, to wake you up to this truth. It is almost as if the universe uses symbols to whisper, "Look closer. The real signal is you." But if the state you carry inside is the ultimate sign, then there is one final, unavoidable question. How do you sustain this state? How do you anchor it so deeply that nothing, no crisis, no fear, no doubt, can shake it? Because only then does awakening become unshakable, and only then do you step fully into the dimension where destiny bends to your will. And that, my friend, is the secret that has been guarded for centuries. It is the final key, and it waits just ahead. All along this journey, we have been walking through the hidden corridors of reality together. From numbers that appear like sacred echoes to synchronicities that stitch your inner questions into the fabric of the outer world, to the deepest revelation that your very consciousness is the sign itself. And now, at the close of this path, the truth becomes radiant and undeniable. These signs are not accidents. They are calls to awakening. They are the universe's way of reminding you that you are not a mere spectator of life, but a co-creator of its unfolding. Think back for a moment. How many times have you felt the whisper of something beyond the veil? A repeated number, a dream that clung to you like mist in the morning, a coincidence so exact it made your heart stop. You dismissed it perhaps, or told yourself it was chance, but chance has no rhythm. What you have experienced is a divine orchestration, the quiet hand of eternity touching the keys of your everyday life. The message is simple, but profound. You are never alone. The signs are proof that the veil between worlds is thin, that heaven and earth are not separate but interwoven. Each signal, whether small or overwhelming, is like a candle lit in the dark, a reminder that you are being guided, loved, and invited to remember who you truly are. You are not lost. You are being called home. And here is the hope that must not be forgotten. Awakening is not reserved for mystics, saints, or prophets. It is for you, right here, right now. The same breath that animates galaxies breathes through you. The same divine intelligence that set the stars in motion lives within your heart. When you honor the signs, when you choose to listen, you step into alignment with something larger than time, larger than circumstance. But awakening carries a mission. It is not enough to see, you must also live differently, to embody the peace you seek, to radiate the love you crave, to walk in the world as a beacon so that others, still stumbling in darkness, may find their way by your light. This is the responsibility of those who awaken, not to escape the world, but to transform it from within. And so, as this video comes to a close, I ask you to do something simple yet powerful. Leave a comment below with your name and the city you are watching from. Why? Because this is not just a video. It is a community, a circle of souls awakening together. In the next video, I may mention you by name, offering a personal blessing as a sign that you are part of this family of seekers. Let your name be spoken into this sacred space. If this journey has stirred something inside you, then take a moment now to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Not as an empty gesture, but as a way of declaring, I belong to this circle of awakening. I choose to walk this path with others who seek the light. Each click is not just support for content, it is a seed planted in the soil of consciousness, helping this message reach hearts that desperately need it. And remember this, what you have felt here is only the beginning. The signs that brought you to this moment will continue, and they will grow louder, clearer, more undeniable, because the universe responds to attention. The more you honor them, the more they multiply. So take this truth with you tonight. The signs are everywhere. The veil is thinner than you imagine, and you are already part of something far greater than you have ever dared to believe. The journey does not end here. A greater revelation waits, one that will not only confirm everything you felt, but ignite a transformation deeper than you thought possible. Because the universe has not yet finished speaking to you, and what it will reveal next may change your life forever.